Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the 99 Club Digital Festival. I'm Dan Brain, and I'm the co-founder of MadFest. Yesterday's event saw loads of big ideas on media and tech, with data and leadership being a real standout theme. Today's event focuses on customer experience and innovation. We've lined up some really fantastic speakers to share their big ideas in 99 seconds. Before we start, a bit of housekeeping. Make sure you're watching on the web app and use the mobile app to interact and ask questions. There's also lots of networking functions on the app to access as well. You can choose to see more of the slides or more of the speakers by just changing the icon on the top right-hand side of the Zoom screen. Do check out the pub message board to play our game of the day. Today we're asking for your pointless lockdown purchases, and there are prizes to be won. There's also the Networker Challenge. Currently, Theo from Siemens is leading the pack. Do try and beat him. Don't forget to play our pizza game with Just Eat. You could be getting a fresh delivery of pizza during Friday's event, and you should be getting a notification about now with details on how to play. Finally, check out the poll section and do cast your vote in our now regular feature, Andy's Polls. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our host for the day, New Digital Age's Justin Pearse.
Hi everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the 99 Club Digital Festival. So as Dan, they've heard lots of the housekeeping stuff from Dan. Really all you've got to do is sit back and enjoy the amazing speakers we've got lined up today. My job, I'm joined here by publisher of NDA, Angelides, is to keep the conversation going and to make sure you all have a chance to ask questions. On the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little Q&A icon. That's where you click to ask your questions, and I'll pick some of the best every time. Everyone's got 99 seconds, and I'm very, very strict timing. I've got a horn here, and everyone gets horned off after 99 seconds, and that's all they get. And then everyone gets a chance to ask questions. It's a really fast, furious event, and we kept a time just about yesterday, but we were, I think, 8 minutes over, so today we're keeping it exactly to time. So I think in a second we are going to kick off. There's not much more to say apart from sit back and enjoy yourself. Always remember that most of the networking and the games and all the fun stuff Dan talked about goes on the app on your phone, whereas your laptop screen or computer screen or TV screen, if you're streaming there, is where you can sit back and watch the actual content. And don't forget, as Dan said, it's really important, top right of your screen, you can change the view if you want to see everyone's faces or just focus on the slide and beautiful face of the presenter at that time. Let's move straight to June. We've got the amazing June Angelides, VC of Samos Investments and the founder of the totally inspirational Mums and Technology. She appeared on New Digital Age just yesterday. She's amazing, and she now has 99 seconds to get a point across. June, over to you.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about how investors think about brand potential. Next slide. And the next slide. More than ever, what you do matters. We've been talking a lot in the investment world around accountability. It's our responsibility as investors to ensure we are backing good people. People who will build inclusive cultures, shaping teams that reflect the real world and the customers they serve. And we're going to have to operate like this going forward. And that's a good thing, surely. Next slide. And we often get asked how we know whether a brand will be successful. The question we try and answer is, what is magical about this product or service? It's more competitive now more than ever with more brands online. So how do you stand out? These are just a handful of examples where you look at the product and you instantly think of quality, great customer service, and they have made a strong name for themselves in their markets. Next slide. And finally, I strongly believe that the building blocks of the brand should be the community. The customers create the brand, and they should be front and center now more than ever. Thank you so much for listening. I didn't get hooted.
That's a bad start for me, but perfectly on time. So listen, everyone, just to remind you, it's the start, the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, ask questions. There's a few coming in, but start one from me, actually. I'll take the opportunity. So you started Mums and Technology, which I thought was just this inspirational thing, but how did you come up the idea in the first place? It wasn't your natural sort of environment, I guess. How did you come up with it?
No, not at all. I mean, I'd never created anything. I worked on the venture debt team at SVB, but I was on maternity leave, and I realized that I was working with so many great companies, but I didn't know much about the technical side of things. And I wanted to learn, and there just wasn't anything available for a mother to go along with their baby. And I thought, well, I can either sit around here waiting for someone to create it, or I can just do something. So I came up with the idea for a pilot, got an amazing venue, ThoughtWorks, who's a great technology consulting firm, to give us space for 8 weeks. And I crafted a curriculum that I wished had existed for me. And, you know, over 8 weeks, we would teach mums how to go from an idea to a product, whether it be a web service or MVP of an app. But over that time, so many women were exposed to different elements of working in a technology company.
Perfect. Very inspirational, as I say. Now, I've got a question here from Freddie, nice and broad, but I suppose you've got a right to answer. What brand has the most loyal community?
Oh, I mean, just thinking of the Samos portfolio right now, I would say Bloom & Wild has been an impressive one. I would say they really understand their customers. You look at their Instagram and their social channels, and they speak to them like their family. And I think that's really powerful. You know, when you think of brands, you think of how are you connecting with your user base, and I think they really get their customers, because even in COVID, they are doing exceptionally well, and that says a lot about how they've thought about their brand and their community.
Great example. Okay, I've got a question here from Robin, who says, I work in a startup and I found things much harder investment-wise during these last few months. What's your view on the future?
Well, I'd say the funding economy is definitely back up and running. Obviously, there was a bit of a halt with people thinking about their existing portfolios, making sure everyone had the support they needed to be able to survive COVID. But I would say the last couple of weeks, everyone's talking about new deals. Everyone is ready to listen. So I would say don't despair. Definitely try and get your deck in front of people. In fact, have a look at debut sessions, which is running next week. And that's for companies that are raising under £750,000. So have a look on my Twitter feed and you see all the details there.
Perfect. Nice, optimistic view. Question here from Dominic. He asks, do you think a brand's community size and potential can be judged by its social channels and UGC that exists organically?
That's a very good question. And we definitely see that there is a huge power in word of mouth, which is really impossible to measure. Yeah, when we're looking at brands, we do look at their social channels, but we do listen to the founder when they're telling us what they're hearing, the chatter in the community, and maybe by speaking to some of their customers, we get a real sense of that sort of brand loyalty and net promoter score, which I think is really, really critical.
Perfect. I think we're just out of time. So, June, thank you so much. Amazing start.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Right. So now we're going to move on in a totally seamless, no glitches way at all to Rachael Pollard, who's the CGO of Starling Bank. Over to the video.
Hi, I'm Rachael Pollard, Chief Growth Officer at Starling Bank. And the next 99 seconds, I am going to talk about the importance of marketeers being disruptors at a time of mass disruption. It's fair to say we're going through a period of monumental change right now. Consumer behaviours have shifted wildly, budgets have been cut, and we're all having to get used to working from home. That said, now is definitely not a time to bury heads in the sand and hope this will all wash over in the next few weeks and we can get back to the day job. It's simply not going to happen. Instead, embrace this period of change, as chaotic as it may seem sometimes, and use the energy around you to get really, really creative, adapting your plan to the here and now. Stop for a minute and just listen. Listen to how consumers are feeling, listen to your peers, use insights and analytics to better understand the landscape, the new landscape, and then use that understanding to adapt your plan and your priorities accordingly. Having a reduced budget doesn't mean that you can't do anything. It just means you have to be so much more creative with what you've got. Really importantly though, be authentic, be helpful and be relevant. If what you're doing in terms of messaging or any of your activity doesn't tick those boxes, don't do it. And buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride in half two, but we will emerge stronger.
So let's have a quick chat with Andy about what's going on. Beautiful shirt today, Andy. I think it's sort of brightened today. So let's talk a bit about the competition today, which yesterday we had Best Bookshelf. I guess that always runs. But
Yeah, Best Bookshelf is a theme of the week. I think we need to keep that going. Yesterday won by Spotify's Asmita and
Lara from ITV.
Lara from ITV close, but just volume-wise she let down. But now we want to see people's bookshelves. We want speakers to pull forward a title they want to be judged on.
Is the bookshelf more important than the talk? Or more important than the bookshelf?
Well, I think you know my views on it.
I do.
Also, today's quiz will be: what is your most pointless pandemic purchase? That's quite hard to say.
3 Ps.
3 Ps. You bought a ridiculous piece of concrete furniture, I know.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and I bought 2.5 kilograms of frozen squid. So that's the sort of ballpark we're in, people. We want to know, what is your most pointless pandemic purchase? And prove it, we'll need a picture. So you can send that in to us in the myriad of ways via the app.
Yeah, get onto the app and go to the pub message board and upload it. That's where you get all the competitions, which includes Networker Challenge.
Networking challenge, who can network with the most people. We don't want Ian from our partner MadFest to win because he's sitting over there and he's looking quite smug about it. The winner at the moment is, I'm looking on the board, who is Theodore from Siemens, isn't it? He's winning at the moment. He's putting in a very good performance. Who can ask most questions? Can't be Julia Smith. It can't be Julia Smith because she's got a panel today, so she can't ask herself questions.
Well, we'll see. She can. She could. Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. The app and the network and stuff, that's replicate what goes on in the real world at these conferences. And it's been working really well the last couple of days. You know, to get how people connect with their peers rather than just sit and watch blank screen. You know.
I think what's best about this as well is that you don't have to hang around having a cup of coffee and a biscuit in the breaks. You can actually go and make somebody a cup of coffee.
And also, don't forget, everybody, pizza.
Ah, yes.
There's a pizza competition. If you go onto the app again, you'll see under notifications, we've asked you for your home address. That's not so we can turn up and surprise you, although it is, because someone somewhere will win a pizza on Friday, and one of the people that get pizza delivered through our partner Just Eat gets a golden ticket, which gives you loads more goodies. So make sure you give us your address if you want to be in the chance to get a pizza. Now, I think we're going to move in a second on to our next sort of segment. Gaming was a big theme over the last couple of days. Obviously, gaming is one of the hottest areas of online media entertainment generally. Money flooding in, consumer behaviour changing. So we thought, let's have a deep dive session, not the usual just 99 seconds, but a whole 10 minutes focused on gaming, hosted by Twitch, obviously one of the leading innovators in this market. So we've got back-to-back 99-second talks. I'm still going to hoot you off if you go over 99 seconds. But it's Jonathan Kelly, Global Head of Trading at Twitch, followed by Adam Harris, Global Head of Brand Partnership Studios, and then Katrina, Palanca, Director of Sponsorship Operations. So I think we'll kick off now with Jonathan. You've got 99 seconds and the horn is ready.
Great. Hi, everyone. When I was asked to provide an update on the trends at Twitch since the lockdown, I thought I could quite easily go down the route of sharing our huge growth. But then I thought, as everyone is at home, our growth shouldn't be a surprise to you. I think all video content, whether viewed through mobile, PC, or a TV, is skyrocketing at the moment. Combine that with people dusting off old consoles and buying new computer games, Twitch was always going to see vast growth in these times. What I'll take you through today is some of our unexpected trends. Given that our community has passions beyond gaming, these trends weren't a huge surprise to us, but the rapid growth and adoption by our community was. The first trend is our evolving content. Music has seen a huge spike, as artists no longer have the ability to connect with their fans through concerts and nightclubs. Now those artists can stream sets and launch new songs on Twitch. A couple of big names here include Stevie Aoki and Ellie Goulding. Another trend is the rise of sports stars and celebrities on Twitch. As we all know, celebrities and sports stars use a range of social media to connect with their fans. What makes Twitch special is that you can instantly connect with them in chat. Here we have Ian Starling doing a Love Island quiz, and Lando Norris racing with fellow F1 drivers online. As sports content returns to screens, people have been asking us if we've seen a drop in viewership. When we look at Germany, where the Bundesliga is back on TV, our viewership is actually up rather than down over the last 4 weeks, a sign that Twitch is now part of people's regular consumption habits. And finally, Twitch is powered by its community. Our audience therefore have a tremendous sense of belonging and are all really supportive of one another. As a result, we are seeing more and more fundraising events that utilise the Twitch instant gifting functionality. Whether it's organised events such as StreamAid raising $2.8 million for the World Health Organization, or a streamer shaving off his hair, syndicate in the middle there, for the NHS to raise £16,000. When you combine all these trends with our gaming growth, It's led to new advertisers really embracing Twitch from CPG. Oh,
sorry,
almost
made it so close. You're my first fawn of the day, so that's a little
good. I want to maximise my time. That's what I wanted.
Exactly. Let's move straight on. Next is Adam Harris. Adam, over to you. 99 seconds. Go.
Hi there, yes, I'm Adam Harris. I'm the Global Head of Brand Partnership Studio at Twitch. And here are my top 5 tips on how brands should market to gamers. So the first tip is, whatever you do not dance. So trying too hard won't work with this audience. Talk to the audience authentically while staying true to your natural brand voice. You don't have to be like them. You just need to show that you get them. Next slide, please. And next piece of advice is support creators and communities. So this generation understands the necessity of brands in this space. In fact, brands are seen as validators to this audience. They will embrace those brands who add value to their community experience and who actively support the creators that they follow. Next up is, and next slide, thank you. This savvy audience want brands to embrace the sellout. Don't be ashamed to be a brand in this space. Be overt and be transparent. Yes, it's commercial, but we're going to make it intrinsic to your experience and you're going to love it for the great content that it is. Next piece of advice, number 4, is we really, really need to forget about outdated stereotypes. Don't think of gamers as a niche tribe. Gaming is mainstream. Think of them instead as a generation of digital natives who have only ever known interactive environments. Better still, let's start calling them the gaming generation. And finally, and in my mind, the most important, invite, don't interrupt. These digital natives don't want content pushed at them. The gaming generation wants to be invited in voluntarily, to engage. So brands, be brave, allow the audience to play, interact, and roll around with you, digitally, of course.
Adam, incredible. I was primed to hoot, but amazing. You made it 191 seconds. Fantastic insights. Thank you. Let's move directly on to Katrina. Katrina, your 99 seconds starts now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katrina, Director of Sponsorship Operations at Twitch. I'm here to talk to you about why esports is not the future. The very first esports event was held in 1972 at Stanford University. They played a game called Space War, and the prize was a year-long subscription to Rolling Stones magazine. Today, there are 450 million esports viewers worldwide, and instead of competing for magazine subscriptions, they're competing for $150 million in collective prize pools. So what happens? Video gaming has been around for decades, but esports is relatively new. Faster internet speeds allow for people to compete around the world globally, and platforms like Twitch allow for people to watch esports globally. So when you have competitors plus spectators, that's a formula for a sport. Next slide, please. Esports is not the future, it's the present. And fans want you there. Here are a few tweets that I pulled from fans responding to esports sponsorships. Hell yes, even my car is TL approved. LCS making moves, lots of sponsorships and partnership deals, awesome to see. I mean, we couldn't pay traditional sports fans to say things like this. So for esports fans, it's personal, it's not the future, it's the present, and it ensures that their space, sponsorships allow their space to thrive, and it shows support for what it is that they love most.
Katrina, amazing. You made it time. Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So 3 brilliant 99-second chats. Remind everyone watching and listening, get your questions in with the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen. So let's kick off. So the first one, and this is to all 3 of you, jump in, have this most relevant to answer. This is from Rich, and I'll read the whole thing because I think it's pretty relevant. Bearing in mind that UGC content and real-time messaging, are you looking at making use of a channel factory, OpenSlate or Zephyr to help externally monitor and guard brands? There's lots of appetite to use you guys, but some brands are more cautious than others on this front, and internal tools aren't always trusted. Big question there. Who wants to jump on that?
Yeah, I can. So it's a question we get a lot because obviously live is live, and we're live now, and I could say anything. So there's obviously, or do anything, there's risks attached. The great thing about Twitch is that it is a community platform. And so firstly, it's all about building safe and hospitable places online for people to build careers and earn money doing the thing that they love. And that's a big part of the policing of the platform, is that there's a significant revenue share opportunity from advertisers when brands do come on board. And the only way you get access to that is by being a partner. And the only way you be a partner is by creating a safe and harmonious community. So it's almost self-policing in that respect in terms of the content. Then in terms of the UGC aspect of that, we have the chat bar down the side. We've got highly sophisticated, remember Twitch is like the first live streaming platform, got highly sophisticated machine learning technology. It's able to, which will learn phrases, you're able to block words, it learns terms and things and makes it a safe kind of communication environment as well as a content environment for the creator. So we've got lots of different ways of ensuring that it is safe, and it's vitally important being a live platform that we make it safe for our viewers, we make it safe for our creators, and we make it safe for the brands that are that sit on the platform and want to be a part and take advantage of this Gen Z audience.
Excellent, great detail answer to a very detailed question. Next one here is from Daniela. She asks, how can I get my CMO to see the value of gaming audiences when they haven't played games since they were a kid?
Yeah,
right, you take that one, JK.
So I think that the reality is that there is a lot of education that needs to be done to kind of understand the size of the audience and what it means. I think that lots of times people kind of feel that gaming is a huge opportunity, but they kind of don't understand their relevance within that. And I think that Adam had like 5 great points around how you can feel comfortable within that. And so the opportunity is come and have a conversation with us, take you through the brand challenges, and we can show you how we can sort of help you navigate that. There are many instances with advertisers where they say, help us with our gaming strategy. And so before it even becomes to an idea, we can advise and guide them on that. And that's what Adam and his team do as a sort of support function.
Fantastic. Got a question here from Katie who says, should I think of Twitch as branding or performance as a channel?
It's predominantly a branding opportunity in terms of the ability to reach Gen Zs at scale. So in terms of the ad inventory, it's high performing ad inventory. In terms of the engagement piece, it's high performance kind of engagement, in that you're able to speak on a detailed level to kind of consumers in either a micro or macro way. So it's very much the former than the latter.
Perfect. We've got time for one last question. I think I'm going to choose this one from Priya, who asks, should I think of gaming on Twitch, the channel, as part of an integrated campaign or standalone activity?
I can take that one. I would definitely think about it as something integrated as part of your holistic plan. A lot of people put Twitch under the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter bucket and put us as a social, toss it over to their social media teams when it's really not the case. It should be supporting a larger campaign that you're already doing, and the production level of what Twitch can do for you should be, it's a heavier lift, and it's something that really needs to support a message that's already in the market.
Yeah, but just to build on that, if I can very quickly, is that, we have a young audience, and if you want to reach young audience effectively, we've got a lot of video that can do that. And so it's kind of, both ways. And I think we work with advertisers from a fully integrated to just trying to drive, engagement amongst a young audience.
Perfect. Let me get this last question, actually. There's so much interest in gaming and Twitch in general, I suppose. Chris asks, how would a brand measure success with Twitch? Do you feed into econometrics, for example?
Yeah, so we actually have one of the world's largest research panels called Twitch RPG. It's a panel of about 70,000 people. And we can use that in 2 really interesting ways. One, to inform the creative that we do in the future. So how do we serve creative to that audience? But also we can do integrations with third parties, kind of Kantar, etc., to confirm that that has delivered against its objectives. And because it's branding, and because of the way in which people consume Twitch, we get really high performances. So I'd be happy to talk through those as well.
Perfect. Well, Jonathan, Adam, Katrina, thank you so much for your amazing talks and your time. And we'll move on. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've got a couple of minutes to keep the schedule until we go on to the amazing Julia Smith set. Andy, do you want to talk a bit quickly about what sort of some of the highlights of yesterday's was? It was such a packed day. We had so much going on. I don't know what, the thing that really stood out for me was the thread of data. So all the discussions seemed to underpin everything.
Yeah, that was big. For me, the most powerful session of the day was Jerry Dakin right at the start. and then Paul Frampton later, both 2 seasoned commentators on the market. But that doesn't mean that they don't know what's happening. It doesn't mean that they're not on top of the issues that are happening. Paul especially is huge on knowing what the problems around bringing youth in, and Jerry, excellent as ever on diversity and inclusivity.
And also excellent on always the responsibility of the media to support a valid online environment.
Yeah, totally. And from a personal pet topic of mine, I loved Harvin and Xander's talk about how we should move on from blocklisting in the media. It's something that our comms agency's been working hard on in the past. For me, that was sort of the more techie side of things. That was good, and I think it's something we should be looking at a lot more.
Definitely. Okay, so we've got a few minutes to talk about how people can get involved today. Again, the most important competition of the day is obviously the best bookshelf.
Yes.
But also, please don't forget to give us your address, to win a pizza. And also, I've been shown a picture here of a pigeon mask. If you go onto the app, the MadFest app, you'll see a picture of a pigeon mask, and that is part of our pointless pandemic purchases competition.
Absolutely.
What is the pointless pandemic purchase competition? Okay, the 3 Ps.
For me, it was the day that, I may have had a drink too many and decided that lockdown didn't mean I was going to be able to get out ever. So I panic bought everything. I mentioned the squid. There was many litres of olive oil. Baked beans. I have more Marmite than anyone will ever need. Although I see it's in short supply. So, if you want
anyone needs Marmite, send us a message. We can probably get out to you in the next couple of days. And you can win in fact, it's a Marmite competition. The best question today wins a bottle of Anne's Marmite.
Absolutely. Bookshelf challenge. Adam, so far, I did to the fact he's only one who's had any books on a shelf. It's a good bookshelf. Yeah. Obviously, he drinks a lot and is a Spurs fan as well. You can see that from his shelving. Well played, Adam.
So tidy up your bookshelves before because we're watching you. Right, fantastic, Andy. Thank you so much.
Let's
get back to the point of the day, which isn't us talking about rubbish up bookshelves, but amazing content. Next up is Julia Smith. She's known by most people in the industry, a real advocate of marketing, media and digital, and one of the most outspoken and, I guess, innovative thinkers of the last, gosh, let's say a couple of decades, let's say a couple of years. Okay, so you've got, as you know, Julia, 99 seconds. You are a good friend of mine, but I will horn you off after 99 seconds. So without further ado, Julia Smith, over to you.
Perfect. Play the first slide, please. This session is on Can You Be Too Loud? This is going to be 5 do's and don'ts on communicating just the right amount to enable you to be successful. I'm Julia Smith, the Digital Voice founder. Next slide, please. So 5 do's first is do educate, share unique insights into your industry and add value to those in your network. Second one, do authenticity, share your success but equally your failures honestly and openly. Third, do kindness, offer to help those in your network in need. And if your business is authentically able to contribute to the front line, do that. Do personalization, take your time to get to know your loyal customers and personalize to that audience. Do collaboration, MadFest and NDA, perfect example of joined forces, curate a digital event together, share content, create partnerships. 5 don'ts, do not piggyback. People are becoming wise to the fact of brands who jump on messaging like Black Lives Matter for selfish reasons. Unless you're genuinely adding value, steer clear. Do not do nothing. While you're in incognito mode, your competitors are walking up and acquiring your customer base. Do not fear innovation. Give it a go. What have you got to lose ultimately? Do not spam. Now is not the time to oversell. Mostly, do not forget your brand. It is your uniqueness to highlight your brand. And above all, do reach out to us at the Digital Voice team if you need any help. And with that, back to the studio, Justin.
I didn't get a chance to.
It's the headset. It made me really want to say that.
Very good. Lovely fun. Very fun. Okay, let's go through some questions. They're sort of coming in. From Jose, he asks here, you're known as quite a serious networker. I always get nervous in those sorts of situations. What's your advice?
I think the key thing is to remember, A, other people are as nervous as you, and the ultimate is ask questions. that allows you to find out what you want from people and get to know them, and it also puts you in a comfortable position because you're not being the center of attention. So ask lots of questions and open doors to people that you wouldn't necessarily think would be necessarily on your radar. But I think as wide a network as you can get. And if I say anything, I've been in this industry, as you said, 25 years. It's an incredibly friendly industry. If there's any industry to network in, this one is it. And it's why I am co-founder of groups like the Digital Leading Lads and Ladies and Digital Leading Ladies groups. Do join networks, it's so important.
Fantastic. Something quite similar here, well not similar, but related, I guess, from Francesco, who asks, to build your personal brand, how important are events such as Cannes Lion, which seems incredibly expensive and onerous to go to? So I guess it sort of means, there's so many events and they take a lot of time and money. How important are they?
I love this question because we at the Digital Voice, we work with a lot of smaller up and coming companies as well as those that are larger already. And for those, I always find those larger events prohibitive to the smaller companies, and it frustrates me, which is why I love events like this. I love events that have networking elements that generate real leads, so you know that you're getting return on your investment. So it's not just about speaking, it's about your teams engaging before the event and after the event, strong follow-up, and actually work that networking. And this one is a great example. It's why we massively support this event and events like this. And I think it's no bad thing that we've gone virtual because we're actually seeing better ways of interacting and networking.
Excellent. Obviously, events not just MadFest itself, which is
I was singing your praises.
Now we've got a shy attendee, aka Anonymous, who asked a great question. How can brands balance not being seen to do nothing and not jumping on a bandwagon?
So I know people have said this, I've heard it the last couple of days, do be authentic, and you really can't go that wrong. It's again, if you're going to contribute value, if what your message said is right and authentic against certain, I spoke about Black Lives Matter, but it was equally when it was LHS Frontline. A number of brands that just jumped on it and it felt misplaced, it felt unauthentic, and it just felt wrong. And that does more damage to your brand. So if you err on the side of caution, if you think it's not authentic, if you think it doesn't fit, don't do it. But in large number of ways, there are huge amounts of messaging that you can jump on that can be right and parallel to what your goals are.
Excellent advice. As if by magic, something a very similar question, well, a leading on question. Hannah asks, which brands do you think are doing a really good job at the moment and which are doing not so good a job, I guess, in terms of what you're talking about? I'm
actually really going to pick not just brands, but go on people. On LinkedIn, well done to all those that posted posts like, I'm here to help, I'll read your CV for you, I'll connect for you. I love the fact that there are individuals out there, so many that have gone out of their way to do stuff and help other people, and they deserve a lot of credit. And actually, again, Digital Leading Ladies, we've got a campaign of Leave No One Behind and helping those in need. As far as brands are concerned, there are some really strong brands that have done well. I wouldn't like to name, because I'd name all the ones who work with the Digital Voice, but I think it is individuals that have shown strength and shown their support that are actually incredibly more powerful.
There's a question here from Natalie that's sort of pretty apt. We're at a digital event now. You and I have both been doing loads of digital events over the last few months. Natalie asks, do you think that digital events will continue? And I'd sort of expand on that and say, how will events, do you think events will change generally after the pandemic?
I think they will. I think some will become hybrid. I know DeMexico is going to try it for a hybrid event. Whether that happens, I don't know. I think that there will be hybrid because I think it allows people globally to attend events. We did one in Singapore that actually had a huge audience of 700 that we wouldn't have got if it was in person. So these have value. There's nothing that you can't get away from the fact that in person really matters. But for example, we're working on a platform called Remo. It's another platform that you can actually network with tables. You can move around different tables, and after the speakers are finished, you can go and talk to them and move all around the room with hundreds of people. So the technology is there to enable us to do this. And I imagine we'll see more of this and then some hybrids going forward.
Perfect. Julia, we are out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So now we're moving on to another incredible speaker. It's Mark Nicholson. He's head of online at O2, and his talk, his proposition is around the future of digital experience and commerce. So Mark, I think you're on the line. I'm going to go across to you 30 seconds early, just to make things hard for you. You've got 99 seconds until you hear the horn, and that's it. And we'll move to questions. So, Mark, if you're ready, it's over to you.
Okay, great, thank you. So I could spend hours on this one, but I've only got 99 seconds, so I'll focus on a concept I call digital conversations and how it links to social commerce. So I've been working in digital since 2007, and in those early days, I launched web chat and social at Sky, some early iterations of this. These new channels grew fast for sales, service, and brand engagement. Customers increasingly wanted to self-serve, but some needed help along the way. Fast forward 10 years, apps and websites are easy to use. Customers can engage with us as progressive brands, benefiting from the experiences we offer, but the desire to converse with us digitally endures. But now it could be through a human and machine learning flow or a bot or a combination. So how can we further innovate to offer customers the ability to converse with us through their channel of choice? Let's have a look at some data. Can we click? Thank you. So based on some insights and trends such as these, the concept of digital conversations was born. Importantly, mobile first digital conversations. Digital conversations has human interaction via messaging at its core, but it's much more than that. It's us as brands enabling dialogue through and all the ways and spaces that customers want, such as these. Progressive businesses like us are now offering many routes to engage. So what's next? Now it's about selling not just in our own and conversational channels, but where customers spend much more of their time. So we're all seeing social commerce build and then considering if and when and how to react. So just imagine if we could offer a joined up digital ecosystem such as this, blending messaging, AI, automation and social. Consider the benefits that could be achieved. Is this the future of digital commerce and innovation?
I think my horn's broken, but Mark, you're out of time. 99 seconds up. And my horn's broken, unfortunately, but you're just finished, so great. I had to kick you off. So 99, great talk. Just reminds everyone watching, get your questions into Mark, the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. So Mark, let's kick off. I've got a question coming in here from Liam. It's an interesting one. You talk about AI and machine learning. What do you think you stand on ethics in AI? I guess he means there's lots of sort of stories about how we build in ethics into AI generally.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question, and it's an area that a lot of brands are grappling with. I think you need to tread carefully. I think you need to think about the experiences that you offer and where AI and automation is relevant, because I'm of the belief that you shouldn't try and force experiences on customers where the need is not there. Where the need is there or they're amenable to that, it's the right thing to do, and AI has its place, but certainly not for everything, for perhaps more sensitive customer journeys.
Perfect. It's a big question, that one. Question here from Freddie. Are consumer conversations more valuable as an internal reflection asset or an external marketing asset? Oh,
that's an interesting one. So I think they have their place for both. Again, I think it comes down to your consumer choice and channel strategy. So I think I would employ messaging in those conversational channels, not necessarily for everything, but where it's relevant. And I think that really comes from the customer insight and data, whether that's internal or external.
And this is a great question from Sally. I think dig into this quite a lot because so many people this applies to, and you've had a lot of experience here. She asks, how do you create an entrepreneurial environment in a large organization?
Okay, that's a good one. So I think first of all, you set your stall out in your strategy. You make it clear about where you want to go, not just in the next year, but in the next 3 years. You back that up with data and insight, and not just hard data, but customer data, research, what other territories are kind of innovating, and what's kind of right thing to emulate and what's not. You kind of back that up with your objectives for your people, and you inspire them around that. But then as leaders, we have to go and kind of negotiate or get buy-in from our stakeholders. And the way to do that is through solid data-driven investment cases. And then assuming you get your investment, you foster that culture, foster a curious culture within your teams and your areas, and a safe culture as well, I think is really important. So, so people are comfortable putting ideas forward, making or fostering an environment where you can try things and fail, and failure is not a failure, sometimes failure is a success. And just be really clear, I guess, once you've sort of identified a few horses to back them and back them well, because sometimes things don't work straight away. And you just need to be sort of determined to push things through if you really see the benefits there.
Excellent advice. Question here from Lee. Lee asks, how has O2 applied conversational commerce in its own marketing and customer engagement?
Okay, so we started off with, so first off, I should say we've been doing web chat for years, for a long time, probably similar sort of time that I launched it at Sky. O2 launched chat as well. It was obviously quite basic in those early days, and it's kind of sort of grown massively over time. As we've kind of defined this concept of conversational commerce and digital conversations, we've got a number of things within it. So we've got a machine learning based sort of interactive dialogue around packages and options. We've had a native asynchronous messaging experience built into MyO2, our app, which is our kind of most important channel to our customers. And at the moment, we are offering WhatsApp on the shop. So if you're interested in a new SIMO or handset contract or a tablet, head over to o2.co.uk on your phone and you can have a WhatsApp conversation with one of our great team.
Nice plug there. I should have horned you off for that, but we get it anyway. But there's a question here. We'll take this. We're almost out of time. Question here from Junior, who asks, what's your view on creativity general across mobile advertising and content?
Okay. So what's our view generally? So I think there've been some great examples that we have seen from both ourselves and some of our competitors over the course of the last several years. So just before I joined O2, I can't claim any kind of credit for this one, but we had a campaign called Be More Dog, which had amazing recall, and it was really quite brave at the time. And you know, that went down really, really well, and you can still sort of hear people talking about things like that. So I think it's important with creative to be brave, to be authentic. I really liked what Julia was talking about before about being authentic and to live your values. And if you do that, then, and you give your creative teams a clear brief, but, you know, well, a very clear brief and kind of good requirements, and let them explore and let them be creative, and you back them, then I think that's the approach I take.
Be brave, be authentic. Excellent words on which to leave. Mark, thank you so much for your time. Great talk, great question answering. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much.
Now we're moving across to our next amazing speaker. It's Lauren Douglas from Channel Factory, and her talk is about not all brands are created equally, how to personalize your strategy. Obviously, personalization is such a hot topic at the moment. Lauren, are you there and ready?
I am here.
I've fixed my horn, so remember you get 99 seconds or you get horned off. I think.
Okay.
Now.
Thank you so much. I really want to talk today about what it is when we say brand safety, brand suitability, and contextual targeting, and why not all brands should be created equally. So first, WTF do these terms mean? Next slide, please. I like to think about it in two ways. So on the left here, you can see that you have the content that you want to avoid. Brand safety lives here. This is content that is ubiquitous and no brand wants to surround, and that would be things like illegal or illicit content. On the right-hand side, you can see that this is content that we want to surround, we want to be proactive with. This is called brand suitability or contextual targeting. Click, please. So this is personalized to the brand and takes things like topics, keywords, videos, and channels into consideration. I like to think about a real world situation here to help explain. So take a brand like Ben & Jerry's, which has been in the news a lot lately for taking a very proactive stance in the Black Lives Matter conversation online. Ben & Jerry's is probably going to be more likely to want to target against something like a news content, for example. Now, if you think about a brand like a Pepsi or a Disney, they're probably less likely to want to target news content, right? So that's how I kind of like to think about these two scenarios. The scenario on the right is a very personalized approach that is super critical, especially on user-generated content, because thousands of videos have been uploaded since I started talking. Next slide, please. So a common myth is that having a brand suitability strategy reduces scale and performance, but what we actually see is the opposite. So let's think about a campaign that's not running against suitable content. Say you're a car manufacturer, say you're BMW, for example, and you're being shown next to children's content like nursery rhymes.
Lawrence, you're up against time.
Okay.
Oh, you almost made it. I've got to be strict. So thank you so much. Great 99-second talk and lots of questions coming in. This is such a contentious in many ways area of discussion. So let's go to some of the questions. Mohammed asks, what do you think of blunt block lists? Have come to lots of criticism recently.
Absolutely. So we are much more about inclusion lists, and I think that marketers should be more about inclusion today. So what we do is we really tell our clients, create an inclusion list of channels and videos and target against that content and be quite proactive against it. And then you should have a very standard block list that is leveraged, that again would be ubiquitous content no one would want to surround. But we really believe that inclusion is more effective, and it's actually better for the consumer and for the marketer than to just create, you know, large block lists.
Great sentiment. Question here from Rich was interesting. He asks, how much metadata such as comments can you also analyze?
I mean, that's exactly what our platform does. So our platform takes into consideration metadata, titles, tags, descriptions, comments, sentiment even. So we can tell the sentiment of the video based on, you know, people's comments and likes and dislikes. And we take all of that content and data into consideration. And then that's how we are able to make suggestions on which channels and which videos are actually appropriate.
Perfect. Question here from Freddie. Freddie, I think you're in the runners-up list for questions asked, so congratulations. He asked, how would you tackle content suitability in UGC if your brand is small and has little following or content available to them?
Well, I think that it becomes really important to determine what kind of content you want to surround. So even if you're a small brand, you're still going to be able to find 20 or so videos that you would say, yes, this is perfect for me. And what we could do on a platform like ours is we are able to then take those 20 videos or 20 channels using our recommendation API, right? So you can leverage AI to basically find similar content that will then feed the engine and continue to grow the content that you're able to find. So even if you're a small brand and even if you have a small targeting list, we're going to be able to find content that works for you.
Excellent, great answer. We've got 1 minute left, so 45 seconds. Chris asks, if contextual providers push brands towards the same inventory, are they pushing up CPMs on easily understandable inventory?
That's actually a very common myth. We actually see the opposite. So when we create inclusion lists, we actually are able to pull in new content and refresh the content because we're constantly updating the channels. And YouTube grows 500 hours of content every minute. So YouTube is constantly growing and constantly changing. And so if you're actually updating your inclusion lists on a regular basis, you know, 1 to 2, 3, maybe even 3 times per week, you're actually going to be able to scale and you're not going to have any issues with pushing the CPMs up.
Lauren, thank you so much. Fantastic answers and great 99 seconds talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now we're moving on again, fast and furious, to our next incredible speaker, and she really is Asmita Singh from Heinz. She's a marketing lead there, and her talk is Fighting FOGO. Hi Asmita, good to see you. You've got 99 seconds, and again, I'm going to horn you off after that time, so please don't go over. Your time starts now.
Excellent. What Justin didn't tell you there is I actually lead our marketing for food service since the beginning of March, so that has not been brilliant right now. The second part is I firmly believe supply chain now is customer experience and personalization. And the third part is FOGO is nothing. FOGO is an industry term I found called fear of going out, and it really means nothing. And my call to arms to everyone on this call today is how can we really be consumer obsessed to build a better world through marketing? The 3 things I'll ask you to do are 1, stay connected to customers because they're really the beating heart, right? They're the ones who are the most adverse, whoever your customer is. So last week I did a visit to Hastings and Brighton, which were quite grim in the rain, but I learned a lot, and please ask me about it in the Q&A. Second one is stay close to consumers. Did we really not anticipate delivery and health coming? You know, we really are, do we deserve to be as shocked as we really are? And the third one is, let's not pump out tons of crap, guys. You know, let's speak when we're truly adding value. So Heinz has only spoken recently when we made a donation to Magic Breakfast of 12 million breakfasts. when we launched our direct-to-consumer service for blue light workers, and finally, when we provided families with recipe inspiration. That's a purpose-led marketing is where it's going. And let's really consider, what are we adding to the world? Because do we need to hear more about Black Lives Matter, or do we need to hear about some crap content that we made just to hit a deadline? And that is really my time.
Asmita, I'm not going to horn you. That was fantastic. Great 99-second talk. Lots to dig into there. So let's kick off with some questions. Amy asks, and this is I guess what some people will be thinking when they're listening to you, who comes from Heinz. What resources do you need to stay connected to customers?
We've done, it's amazing. I mean, social and digital have been so critical, right? So we're monitoring our social posts in a way that we never have before. A lot of the types of donations we've been able to make to like serve families with an autistic child, or really to find people in need, is people who have reached out to us. And that's where we've fulfilled every request. But we're also doing a lot of things where we're essentially declaring we're open to hearing from you. So next week, we'll be announcing an initiative called Click and Chips, my very uncool naming suggestion, which gets 100+ fish and chip shops back in business through giving them a model for delivery. And we basically create and push out these campaigns where the key groups that need our help can speak to us. But we're not really so interested in anything else right now. Look, this has been a real turning point for us in realizing that we need to do more with purpose, and we need to be purposeful as an organization. And I think it's something we're not going to turn back from.
Excellent.
Being very targeted.
This next question then is absolutely perfect. Alfie asks, how does a brand find its purpose?
Alfie, I'd love to tell you that we did 50 workshops and had loads of consultants and agencies involved. Actually, we found one thing that we wanted to do, which was a few months ago, we started working with Magic Breakfast. And then when, I guess, all of this gesturing wildly to the world started, we started doing more and more with Magic Breakfast and providing them with donations. And we were distraught at the idea that children would be without school meals. So we really followed our hearts on this one, honestly. And so it's find the thing that makes your heart sing, I guess, and then do more of it, because that really is what brings energy to an organization. It's not a beautiful PowerPoint deck or, you know, perfect wording.
Question here from Gordon, who asks, I work in B2B. Heinz is obviously one of the biggest consumer companies out there. What can a B2B company do to find its purpose?
I think it's really thinking about, thank you for the question, because, you know, I work in the food service part of our business, so we also are B2B a lot of the time. And I think, again, it's that point on don't speak and don't try and do things just to get ahead of it or to look like you're doing something. Find what your unique value add is. So this Click and Chips campaign, we really wanted to go live with almost as soon as we had the idea, but the app would have been glitchy. We wouldn't really have had any kind of marketing materials ready for the guys to start using. And so we're late, right? Technically, we're probably late to the party, but we're able to do it. We're able to pivot. And I only really wanted us to do that once we had something that was worth talking about.
Great. We've got a great question here from Jerry, who asks, how challenging has it been for a huge organization like Heinz to make these changes fast? You talk about pivoting, but how tough's that been?
I think it's been much easier than we anticipated. Jerry, thank you for the question. And I think that, again, is because we led with heart, not head. And I often find this, right, in a meeting, when you try and justify everything and you show the root cause analysis for why you came up with an idea or a cause to support like this one, then there's a lot of people picking away at the content of the slide. Well, if you're engaging with people's hearts, and we really have, I mean, through almost by accident, right, we've found something that tugs on people's heartstrings and makes them feel purposeful when they come to work. And that's why these posters you see in the background, they're beautiful, but they were made for our factory workers. And that's why I said our supply chain is our customer experience right now.
Great. Tamar asks, how has the changes made in your marketing strategy, how will it continue post-COVID? I guess that lots of people are talking about big brands are changing quickly, but will everything in next year, if things go back to normal, hopefully, will you go back to normal?
I don't think we'll ever move away now from purpose-led marketing, particularly on these canned products, if I'm honest. I think we will do a lot more with Magic Breakfast now that we've found our purpose. We're looking to make a wonderful campaign with them. And we'll start to keep probably Heinz more and more out of the front and center of these things, because actually it's really important. Like, we realized we had 1 million new shoppers into Heinz, new households coming into Heinz meals products that you see here. We don't need to shout about ourselves anymore. Maybe the way we were doing it before was actually a little obnoxious. And this approach where we're really trying to add value to the world will show us, I guess, walking the talk. Yeah, that's it.
Not to be obnoxious. Econ's got a great question here, who asks, how global is your purpose-driven marketing approach? As in, you know, is this a UK approach, or how can you be global in purpose-driven marketing?
I think the UK, we have very much a culture of kind of test and roll out. So I think it will be that the UK will lead the way on this one, and other countries will emulate. And they will need to find something localized, right? I always believe, you know, marketing is highly local. And I'm sorry to any of my colleagues here who are on global teams, but part of our job is finding out what does truly translate globally, which is the spirit of purpose, right? It's the spirit of feeding nations. And what needs to be local. So the charities themselves, or your purpose probably, and the partners you work with, do need to be highly localized, I think, to be effective.
Question here from another shy asker, anonymous, and I guess this is a question so many brands are asking. He or she asks, we've not made much of a big deal of purpose up to now, so is now the right time to start, or will it just look weird? No brand.
I think now is the time to listen and to be empathetic. So we had, you know, quite a spirited discussion in our marketing community about what do we want to do for Black Lives Matter? And the reflection we came to is we need to clean up the house. You know, we need to clean up our house and come back and support this cause in a way that we can be proud of and that feels credible. So I think purpose has this amazing way of making you reflect on yourself and look at where actually, you know, where were we maybe not looking at things before. Yeah, and I think that really is, yeah, that's probably my answer to that one.
Perfect. Let's have a question from me. What are you most looking forward to next year?
What am I most looking forward to? I am so looking forward to our food service operators being open again. I cannot wait to go and have, you know, an amazing burger, have a beer in a pub garden. Even if it's raining, I'll bring my own umbrella, but I will be there.
I'll be there too. Totally agree.
Look, these places add so much, right, to our community, to our world. So when they come back, let's really support them, guys.
We'll be there. We'll be there. Asmita, as ever, you were amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.